When you use your debit card for everyday purchases, you're giving anyone who steals that card information a direct pathway into the same account where your CPP arrives without fail every single month. We're not talking about a borrowing limit or a temporary authorization hold. We're talking about actual money, the cash your OAS put there just this week, the funds your GIS added that can disappear completely while you're still asleep, long before your bank ever contacts you, long before any kind of review even gets underway. And the people who discover this through painful personal experience always end up saying the very same thing afterward. My bank covers fraud. I assumed I was safe. Your bank does offer fraud coverage. What the majority of Canadian seniors never fully understand is that fraud coverage doesn't stop your money from leaving first. The cash is gone from your account the very moment the fraudulent transaction goes through, then the review process begins. And while that review process drags on for days, your landlord isn't going to pause. Your pharmacist isn't going to pause. Your power company isn't going to pause. Every pre-scheduled automatic payment keeps pulling from an account a criminal has already picked clean. Today, I'm going to break down exactly why debit card fraud hits Canadian retirees harder than almost any other group, walk you through a federal regulation that almost no one has actually read, and explain a straightforward two-account strategy that guarantees a stolen card number can never reach the account where your CPP and OAS are sitting. Setting this up takes nothing more than a single phone call to your bank. Hold on to that detail as we go through everything, because every problem I'm going to describe shares that same solution. Before we get into it, I want to address 3 assumptions that most Canadian seniors watching this video are likely making right now about why none of this applies to them, because all 3 of those assumptions are wrong, and all 3 will cost you if you leave them unchallenged. The first assumption is that you check your balance regularly, so you'd catch fraud before it gets out of hand. What you'll actually catch is the damage after the fact. The money is gone the second that transaction clears your account. A skimming device installed at a gas station you stopped at 2 weeks ago can trigger a $1,500 withdrawal at 3 in the morning on the very day your rent payment is scheduled to go out. You won't find out until 9 that morning when your phone won't stop ringing because the payment bounced. The second assumption is that your bank's fraud protection means you're fully covered. Your bank does have fraud protection. What your bank does not have is a rule that puts your money back while the investigation is still happening. The inquiry comes first. Your account stays empty for the duration. Under Canadian banking regulations, your financial institution has up to 10 business days to temporarily return your funds. Some banks act faster than that. A great many do not. Your bills are not going to wait 10 business days for you. The third assumption is that this kind of thing only happens to careless people shopping online. You use your card in person at places you know and trust. Here's the thing about skimming. It's a physical crime by nature. Gas stations, ATMs, and restaurants where a server carries your card out of your line of sight for 45 seconds to run it through the machine. The charge shows up looking completely normal. You may have even signed the receipt, but your card information had already been copied before you finished your meal. The fraud doesn't originate online. It originates at the exact locations you visit every single week. Now here's something your bank will never actually say to you directly. Every time you swipe your debit card, your bank collects a fee from the merchant on the other end. The more swipes you make, the more revenue they generate. That means the branch manager, who has been warm and friendly toward you for the past 15 years, has absolutely no financial reason to sit down across from you and say, I want to show you which payment method in your wallet has the least protection and the highest likelihood of draining the account your pension goes into. That conversation would cost the bank income, so it never happens. That isn't a conspiracy theory. That's just how financial incentives work. And across Canada right now, those incentives have never been stronger. Canadian banks collected billions in service charges and transaction fees last year alone. The same institutions earning money from every single swipe you make are the same ones whose fraud review process can leave your account completely empty for up to 10 business days while they conduct their inquiry. You are not their primary concern during those 10 days. Their internal process is. Let me walk you through the real distinction between your debit card and a credit card, something your bank will never put into any brochure they hand you. With a debit card, your money exits your account the instant fraud takes place. Under the Canadian Code of Practice for Consumer Debit Card Services, reporting fraud quickly may limit how much you're held responsible for, but limited does not mean zero. And throughout the entire investigation, your account stays just as empty as the thief left it. With a credit card, the fraudulent charge never actually leaves your account in the first place. It sits there as a disputed item. You don't owe a single cent while the bank investigates. Major card issuers reverse the charge immediately once you report it. You never lose access to even $1 of your own money. 2 cards. One pulls real money directly from your account before any review takes place. The other doesn't. That's the entire distinction, and it's the one no one at your branch has ever brought up. Let me show you how this actually plays out in real life, because this isn't a hypothetical scenario. This happens to Canadian seniors every single month. A 68-year-old retired teacher living in Nova Scotia receives her CPP on the 26th. Her OAS arrives the same day, combined roughly $1,900. She depends on her debit card for groceries, prescriptions, and a handful of recurring automatic payments. On the evening of the 27th, a criminal uses her card information captured by a skimmer at a gas station she had visited 3 weeks prior. 4 separate charges totaling $1,400 are processed at stores in another province entirely. She wakes up on the 28th to find only $480 remaining. She calls her bank immediately to report what happened. The bank opens an investigation. They inform her that it may take up to 10 business days to resolve. Her automatic hydro payment of $160 goes out on the 1st of the month and is declined. Her internet bill of $85 goes out on the 3rd and is declined. Her pre-authorized pharmacy payment for blood pressure medication goes out on the 5th and is also declined. Every declined transaction generates a fee. Every creditor may apply their own returned payment charge on top of that. By the time the investigation concludes and her money is returned, she had spent 11 days on the phone with creditors explaining a situation she played absolutely no part in creating, while managing the anxiety of not knowing when her account would be made whole again. The fraud itself wasn't the hardest part of the ordeal. Everything that collapsed around it, because her pension account was directly connected to a merchant payment terminal, that was the hardest part. Now here's what people inside Canadian financial planning circles have quietly understood for years, even while continuing to hand debit cards to everyone else. It's called account separation, and it is the single most powerful step any Canadian senior can take to protect their CPP, OAS, and GIS from debit card fraud. Here's exactly how it works. You keep one account as your primary account. This is where your CPP lands each month, where your OAS deposits, where your GIS arrives. This is also the account your automatic bill payments run through: rent or mortgage, insurance, phone, utilities. You do not hand this account number to merchants. You do not swipe a debit card connected to this account at gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, or anywhere a payment terminal could potentially be compromised. This account should have as little exposure to the outside world as possible. Then you open a second account, a dedicated spending account with its own separate debit card and a modest balance that you top up periodically by transferring from your primary account. Put $200 in at the beginning of each week. Use that card for your everyday purchases. If a skimmer captures that card number, the criminal can only access whatever small amount is left in the spending account. $200 or less, not your full CPP payment, not the account your rent comes from, and not the money set aside for your prescriptions. Even better than keeping a low balance spending account is abandoning daily debit use altogether in favor of a credit card. Not to carry a balance, not to accumulate interest charges. Use the credit card for every purchase you make and pay it off completely before the due date each month. Every transaction made on that card falls under federal consumer protection rules, zero liability, immediate reversal if fraud occurs, and your primary account, the one holding your CPP and OAS, never comes into contact with a merchant terminal at all. Let me pause here for a moment. Does your CPP or OAS currently deposit into the same account linked to the debit card you use for everyday purchases? Drop your province in the comments section right now, because what I just described is precisely the arrangement that leaves Canadian pension income exposed to exactly the kind of fraud I just walked you through. Your comment also helps other seniors watching this video understand what needs to be changed before something like this happens to them. Now I want to address something important. Some of you are assuming that your bank's zero liability debit card policy covers you completely no matter what the circumstances are. Here's what that policy actually represents. Your bank's zero liability debit policy is a voluntary internal guideline created by your bank. It is not legislation passed by Parliament. It is not protected under the Bank Act the way certain credit card protections are. Your bank can modify, restrict, or attach new conditions to that voluntary policy whenever it decides to. Banks have done exactly that in the past when fraud losses began affecting their bottom line. Seniors who rely on a voluntary internal bank policy without truly understanding what it guarantees are just one internal policy memo away from having a very different kind of conversation at the branch window. There are 4 specific situations where a debit card still makes genuine sense. I want to be precise about this because the goal here isn't to get rid of your debit card entirely. It's to use it only where it genuinely fits and nowhere else. ATM withdrawals at your own bank's machine. You're withdrawing your own cash directly, not transmitting your card details to a merchant system. Before inserting your card, take a couple of seconds to check whether the card slot feels loose or looks different from usual. A legitimate ATM card reader is firmly fixed to the machine. If anything shifts or wiggles when you touch it, walk away and use a different machine or step inside the branch. Small independent businesses that don't accept credit cards spend only what's needed for that specific purchase, and use your low balance spending account card rather than the card connected to your main account. Government payments and utility bills where the agency charges a credit card convenience fee on a $180 utility payment, a 2.5% credit card fee adds up to $4.50. If that same payment processes for free through Debit, use Debit OAS, but the spending account card only. And any business that offers a discount specifically for paying by debit, same rule applies, spending account only. Those are the 4 scenarios. For everything else, use a credit card or cash. Here is your complete protection checklist for every debit card you continue to use. Enable real-time transaction alerts on every account you hold, not a daily summary email, but an immediate text message or notification the moment your card is used anywhere for any amount whatsoever. The instant an unfamiliar transaction appears, you'll know right away. Call your bank today to confirm this feature is already turned on. If it isn't, ask them to activate it before you end the call. Ask your bank to lower your daily debit spending limit. Most Canadian banks set automatic daily limits at $500 or more. Ask them to reduce yours to $200 or $250. This won't prevent you from making a larger purchase when necessary. A quick authorization call handles that. It simply means a criminal who gets hold of your card number cannot rack up $800 in charges while you sleep. Never save your debit card number with an online retailer. If that retailer's database is ever breached and your debit card information is stored there, the account holding your CPP becomes part of that breach automatically. Enter your card number manually each time you make a purchase, or ask your bank whether virtual card options are available to you. Review your account every 3 to 4 days, not monthly, not once a week, but every few days. Open your banking app and scan through your last 10 transactions. If anything looks unfamiliar, call your bank that same day without waiting. And one rule that applies absolutely every time you stop to fill up your vehicle: never swipe a debit card at the gas pump. Walk inside and pay the cashier directly, or use a credit card at the pump instead. Gas pump skimmers account for an enormous share of all debit card fraud reported to our CMP financial crime units every year. Those pumps sit completely unattended for hours at a stretch. Modern skimming devices are compact enough to be concealed inside the pump housing itself, where no outside visual inspection will ever detect them. Using a credit card at the pump costs you nothing extra and permanently eliminates the single riskiest swipe location for your pension account. Here is the complete summary before we finish. Your debit card gives a criminal direct access to your CPP, OAS, and GIS the moment fraud occurs. Your bank's investigation can stretch up to 10 business days, during which your account remains exactly as empty as the criminal left it. Your bank's zero liability policy is a voluntary internal guideline, not a federal law. The account separation strategy requires nothing more than one phone call to set up and permanently shields your pension income from every merchant terminal out there. There are 4 situations where a debit card still makes sense: ATM withdrawals at your own bank, businesses that don't accept credit cards, government payments that carry convenience fees for credit card use, and cash discount situations. Use debit for those 4. Use credit or a low balance spending account card for everything else. And one final warning: since we're already discussing financial fraud targeting seniors, the CRA will never phone you demanding immediate payment over the telephone. Service Canada will never ask you to confirm your direct deposit banking details through an unsolicited incoming call. If anyone contacts you claiming your CPP or OAS is at risk, unless you pay right away or provide your banking information, hang up immediately. Report that call to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre at 1-888-495-8501. Now I want to hear from you. After watching everything we've covered today, are you going to change the way you use your debit card? And did your bank ever actually tell you that their zero liability policy is a voluntary guideline rather than federal law? Drop your province in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Your answer helps another Canadian senior who is watching this video right now decide whether to pick up the phone and call their bank today. Please share this video with someone you know who still has their CPP or OAS depositing into the same account they swipe a debit card with every single day. That one share could protect their entire monthly pension income from being wiped out. You spent your entire working life contributing to this country. You earned every single dollar of your CPP, OAS, and GIS. Don't let a criminal standing at a gas pump 3 weeks from now be the one who decides when your rent gets paid. This has been Canada Pension News Bulletin. If this video helped you today, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.